I think this is a good transition to said Switch 2 because I bought one.
Me too.
I got it. It's very weird that I got it because
I was going to say, I thought you weren't buying one.
No,
What's going on?
I wasn't buying one until I got it from Willow. But it's weird that I got it from Willow already because I didn't contact them very early about a pre-order. And I technically only actually reserved Mario Kart World. I didn't actually reserve the Switch because when I called them, they were like, we don't know when we're getting the consoles. So they called me about we have Mario Kart World. And I was like, cool, I'm actually going to wait until you guys also have a console. And they were like, cool, yeah, we'll let you know. And then like a couple hours later, they were like, somebody just canceled. We have a console for you.
No
Meaning
way.
There was no line.
Yeah.
And I understand this could be seen as a success because, they actually made enough, which is great. But I talked
Nintendo said they would. They said that's what they were going to do. They were like, we are pumping these. We are making some consoles here, ladies and gentlemen.
Which is awesome. Except
that's our anti-scalping strategy. Except yes.
I talked to the owner of Willow while I was there picking it up. And I asked them, I was like, what has demand been like? And she was like, yeah, a lot lower than we expected. Like a lot lower. And she was talking about it's for everything. Like not a ton of the games are flying off the shelf either. The accessory sales are a little bit lower than expected. So like someone might come in and buy the cheaper because you want a game Mario Kart Switch bundle thing, but then they're not buying a Pro Controller with it or the wheel add-on thingy for the new Pro Controllers or whatever else. And it's really expensive. The economy is in complete shambles right now, just worldwide. So like people are not only are they don't necessarily have a lot of money, but there's also an incredible amount of economic uncertainty. So you might not want to buy.
I was going to say the shambles is not even the entire story of the problem right now.
Yeah.
It's the uncertainty.
So
like you were chatting with a guy who runs some factories. Let's not get any more specific than that.
Sure.
Who basically was I have multi-million, like many millions dollars investments that I was making, in the lead up to COVID, around COVID, after COVID, and then during the first big red tie administration and afterward, and right now I'm just holding pattern. No investment, no plan, no idea, because when things change on a weekly basis,
you can't decisions.
Plan. You don't build a factory in a span of weeks or months. It takes years. And so when you're planning that far out and things are changing so fast, it's devastating to your ability to execute, to get anything done. Let's talk about the Switch 2. So
yes,
Luke, you were going to say something in the pre-show and I was like, content, but I don't remember what you said.
Oh, I was saying when the announcement first happened and we were talking about it on WAN, I talked about how I thought it was like kind of boring. And I still feel that way. I haven't even opened the box yet. To be clear,
I don't even agree at all.
I think it's boring. Look at the history of Nintendo consoles, man. It's boring.
Well, hold on. Everybody back up for a second. What it is, though, is what it tries to be. It's what it is. It's
really good at being boring.
Well, hold on. Okay, by that logic, let's say that NVIDIA released a GPU tomorrow that instead of costing $300, cost $450 and had 4x, 5x the performance. Would that be boring?
But that's not what we're talking about, because it's been a decade.
But it doesn't matter. The point is that what we had was this. What we have now is this times 4.
Yeah, which is what other consoles do, which is boring. Sure. It's not what Nintendo has historically largely done with almost every generation. For a Nintendo console, this is boring. It's cool. I bought one. I'm excited about it. I'm happy to go home and take it out of the box. I'm happy about the product. I still think it's boring.
But you're coming at this from the perspective of someone who hasn't even turned it on yet.
I'm coming at this from the perspective of someone who has historically looked at Nintendo consoles as almost every single launch as a really exciting experience to see what interesting, curious, driven engineers have brought to the table in terms of changing how gaming is done. And what I'm seeing is a console that's faster, a dock that is better, and cartridges that don't even have the damn games on them.
And that's all fair. But let me tell you, I spent the 15 Canadian dollars on the enhanced version of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, and I'm going to. I'm stoked.
And in terms of, because look, I mean, I don't think I expect gaming hardware to excite me anymore. What I expect to excite me is gaming. And maybe what I'm doing is I'm channeling a little bit of, what David and Plouffe were talking about from the Art Challenge, where they were like, okay, does it, like, do I... With them, they were talking about like pixel peeping, do I actually need better performance? And in this case, the better performance is not just about, pixel peeping a little bit and having like slightly smoother frame rate or whatever. It's about changing the way that I can experience the game. And for something like Breath of the Wild, where aiming, when you're dropping down into frame rates in the low 20s sometimes, where you're getting these stutters, where your display is, on the OLED, it's beautiful. I would personally take the OLED display over the HDR non-OLED display on the Switch too. But especially, I played through Breath of the Wild on the original Switch. And if you had told me at that time that I could have a new Switch that's just basically everything that was good about the Switch and innovative about the Switch, but fixed. It just fixed all my problems. That would change the gameplay experience enough for me to be really excited. I
feel like old Nintendo would have called this a Pro or something. Or a
You feel
Plus.
like who would have?
Old Nintendo. Like if you look at some of the DS versions they had, where it was like 3DS plus new colorful edition, whatever, I feel like they would have iterated because I don't see a ton of... Like, even with the GameCube, it's like, okay, it was small and they put a handle on it. Like, they tried something. And with this one, it's just like, I don't know. It's they did the thing with the dock that they, obviously should have done the first time.
Yeah. Make it higher performance, you mean?
Yeah. Put a fan on it. Just, come on. It really wouldn't have taken a lot.
Okay, but tell me this, okay? A couple of the recent times, relatively recent, okay, I'm old, a couple times that Nintendo has taken big risks and done something really different. Okay, so your GameCube example, the Wii U, they got pounded into the dirt commercially for doing that. Would I blame them at all?
I don't think.
But that's not your argument. Your argument is not that it's not smart. Your argument is that it's not exciting.
Yeah, I think it's decently smart.
I find this kickstand pretty exciting. This is going to change the usability of this device for me. You know what? I'm excited by the fact that they included microSD Express. I saw someone commenting on my unboxing video, why would Linus think it's positive for Nintendo to include this standard that no one really supports it? Because they're forward thinking.
Yeah, that doesn't
You
matter.
don't need the microSD card today. You need it when it's time to expand the storage, and microSD Express is going to be sick. And by taking it mainstream, dude, looking at what happened to the pricing of high capacity microSD cards once the Switch supported them, it was awesome because it went mainstream. We hit volume production. It was great. So Nintendo helping to drive industry standard memory card form factors like microSD Express, I love it. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm not going to apologize for that. This is great.
Yeah, I wonder, at the same time, I think, and I don't even know if this is true, and I don't want to, I can needlessly pump the boys, but, does the kill switch just have that kickstand? Yeah, and didn't the original kill switch...
it just passes through.
Oh, it just passes through.
Yeah, it just passes this kickstand through because this kickstand is really nice.
What kickstand did the original kill switch have?
The original kill switch or the original switch?
Kill switch. I know what the original switch
I can't remember. I think it did have it had that weird magnetic
It had its
thing,
own kickstand.
And then it became a clip or something. Remember? There was an engineering issue with it and they had to change how it worked on the back. Someone in chat will probably let us know.
I see a thing. Yeah. It has its own kickstand. So like I do agree with you that it's better. I really like the new kickstand, but
yeah,
it's not that you couldn't solve that previously.
To be clear,
and I do think I understand Wii U was rough. I think the actual Wii U was great. Genuinely, I think that was purely a marketing failure, in my opinion. So that's a tough one.
And to be clear, there are things that I'm really not happy about. You know, I am not stoked that, you know, voice chat is going to be like, I'm not stoked at the way that Nintendo is paywalling more and more and more of the functionality of their console behind Nintendo Online. I've talked in the past about how on principle, I refuse to subscribe to Nintendo Online because they don't allow you to back up your save games to the micro SD card.
Time.
That is
obvious functionality.
That is just obviously Nintendo holding hostage your ability to keep your games safe, which on a portable device is particularly offensive. I'm frustrated because even though obviously, like, I want to acknowledge my privilege here for a second. I can afford Nintendo Online.
Yeah.
For sure. No problem.
Maybe a couple of them.
But I shouldn't have to have basic functionality like that, so I won't. And the more and more that they lock behind it, the more degraded and like a second-class citizen I'm going to feel like with this thing I paid $450 for. So
yeah, it's expensive.
So I'm not happy about that. Apparently the Joy-Con teardown was not good. And it looks like, we don't know for sure because we have no way of knowing for sure until it actually happens, but it looks like stick drift is just going to continue to be a problem. And I think I have either 4 or 6 Joy-Cons in my house. I forget. I think we had 6 at one point. I think we're down to 4 now. I think it's 4. Of the 4 Joy-Cons that I took on my last trip, though, so those 4, 3 of them have severe stick drift, and 1 of them has moderate stick drift. And our consoles are not even super heavily used. It's bad. It's not a matter of if it'll fail. It's a matter of when it'll fail, which is really frustrating.
This is like breaking, so it's fine that it wasn't in the topic, to be clear, just in case anyone's reviewing this. But in Full Point Chat, people are talking, and they linked me to a Tom's Hardware article that, for you, Mr. Linus, I linked in the bottom of the Nintendo Switch 2 topic.
Oh, thanks, bub.
But I'm going to share my screen now. Hackers discover Nintendo Switch 2 exploit 1 day after launch. Minor hack allows running custom code on top of OS.
No way.
Boom.
Already?
That's crazy, man.
That
Apparently they got it to run a like frame buffer check already. I saw that somewhere else. That's probably the Reddit thread that people were linking. I'm gonna not share my screen before I click on the Reddit Reddit link that people are posting. Oh no! All right, that was something.
There's
else.
a lot more for us to talk through here.
Yeah, let's get to it. But either way,
the Joy-Cons being
at least partially jailbroken already, which is wild. But yeah, keep going.
In addition to the Joy-Cons being potentially susceptible to failure, iFixit gave it a 3 out of 10 repairability score. The OG was 4 out of 10. In part, this is due to a ton of stickers that have to be destroyed to access the screws, the battery being glued in, and the USB ports and game cartridge slot being soldered to the main board. Joy-Cons are apparently even harder to fix as well.
How did they get it so early? Dang.
Yeah, so that was one of our discussion questions is, what is your take on Nintendo opting to not send out review units? Does that communicate that they felt they had something to hide, or does it communicate a deep level of confidence in this product? I could see it both ways, man.
I could absolutely see it both ways. I don't think Nintendo much likes the media. I could put it that way.
I can see why they don't like me much.
yeah, that makes sense. It's not like they didn't give it to any media. They were just obviously extremely selective about who they gave it to.
Curiously, like I saw some choices that were like non-gamers. And I'm like, Sure.
Nintendo wants to be lifestyle, even though it's gaming.
Yeah, that's always been a weird one to me.
Yeah.
It's like, here's an alarm clock.
Yeah.
By the way, this alarm clock will mean nothing to you, and you won't care about it at all unless you are 100% a gamer.
Yeah.
Jeff JK says, quit whinging and y'all will get one. Oh, dude, it has nothing to do with whining and everything to do with not many people getting one and Nintendo's choices being baffling, and B, to do with the fact that we openly talk about emulation. Like, let's be real here.
Yeah. And we criticize.
Nintendo's one of those companies that's very much like Apple. That the way that they work is they engage with media that align with their vision. And Nintendo surprisingly does engage with us to a limited degree. From time to time, they'll answer an email. I believe we got a review unit of the Switch Lite. Actually, in fact, we might have even gotten a review unit of the Switch back in the day. So they do engage with us from time to time. They're not just radio silent like Apple, but I suspect that there are folks at Nintendo who would just kind of rather not talk to us or acknowledge us. Yeah. And I get that.
I know I've been harping on how it's boring. I'm just sitting here trying to think of like I know they did kind of the Joy-Cons with the Wii, and then they expanded upon it with the Wii U, and they had the Joy-Con Plus or expansion pack or whatever it was called, and then now we have the little Switch Joy-Cons, and now we have the newer Switch 2 Joy-Cons or whatever. It would have been kind of cool to see them go back pretty far and go to like a glove or something, like a haptic glove would have been sick. Or something. I know they want to be lifestyle. They want to get people outside. If they embraced this, Niantic just sold itself to some terrifying company. But I have loved this concept where like I'll play Pokemon Go for hours and no one will have any idea because I'll be walking around a park or something and I've got my little dongle thing in my pocket and it's just buzzing away catching Pokemon and I'm walking hands-free playing a game without looking at a screen. It would be cool if they tried to get people outside or something, but while still playing their games. Like I think there's opportunities that they could have taken and they just went, nah, it's faster.
We don't know that they won't do stuff, though. I mean, I don't think anyone saw the cardboard kits coming with the original Switch.
That's very true. The Labo, yeah, that's interesting.
Come on, don't count them out on quirky ideas. Like, it's still Nintendo, and it's the Switch, but it's way better on it. And like, dude, I haven't played much Mario Kart World yet because they made me go shoot other stuff. Okay. I shouldn't say they made me go shoot other stuff when I was doing my short circuit unboxing. Was that yesterday? Good Lord. Yeah, yesterday. Yesterday morning, I was shooting the unboxing and I got to one level, one track that has like a wave racer section where you're like on Sea-Doos. Really? And dude, it's like freaking awesome. So like I haven't gotten to play much because I finished that shoot. And then I went straight to one on upgrading the storage of non-upgradable Macs. We had a guest come in. Really excited for you guys to see that video. I actually got to upgrade the storage on a non-upgradable, like soldered motherboard Mac myself with tools that we have in our shop. So I thought that was pretty sick. And then I had to go home and pack. And then I've been busy all day. So I haven't, and now I'm doing my show. So I haven't really gotten a chance to play, but the little bit that I've played, dude, the controls feel so good. The bigger joysticks are more than welcome. The bigger face buttons are great. The screen is great. And when you compare the size, the thickness, the weight, the general chunk of this device to PC handhelds that have a similar size of screen or similar class of screen, when I first saw leaked images of the Switch 2, I was like, oh my God, it's too big. It's ridiculous. Forget it. It's basically a handheld PC. They've completely lost track of what it means to build a handheld console. Like the Nintendo of the DS Lite days would look at this and cry for shame. But now that it's in my hand, I really like it. We have some more discussion questions about the Switch. One of them is, what is your prediction for lifetime sales of the Switch 2? And related, will it end up being, to your point, more of a Switch Pro with the OG continuing to sell well alongside its successor? Like, is this going to be a PS2 where Nintendo just can't discontinue that damn first gen Switch. And I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments as well.
I would actually say yes, because the price delta between the two is so enormous that there are going to be many people that just can't afford it. And it'll be much more affordable and still a cool experience, despite it being so old, to have an original Switch. So it'll be what it is. I don't know.
Jax raises a really important point around this launch. Not going to give them any of my money if they threaten to brick my property because they somehow happen to learn I emulate or whatever. Stop giving them coverage is my suggestion. So the first bit, yeah, that's a really good point. Nintendo's changed to their terms of service, allowing them to remotely brick property that you paid for. Unacceptable.
Absolutely.
What we need, though, is legislation making that illegal. Because companies are just going to keep pushing the envelope on this, and I don't think that Nintendo is unique in that regard. As for your suggestion that I just stop covering things, it's not really an option. There were a lot of suggestions, actually, on the unboxing of the Switch, like more than just a couple, that we just shouldn't be covering it. And I don't really know how to address that because... It's happening
with the NVIDIA stuff, too.
I don't really... Because it's like, what should I cover today, then? You know, it's like actually my job
anymore.
And it's not just my job, right? Like it's all the people who work here. It's our job to cover this stuff and to do the best job that we can. And at the same time, to highlight the things that are not great about these releases and do our job as members of the media to educate people on what's good about things and what's bad about them. So to me, it almost feels like it's like when you ask the the ethical person that works at a government agency who resigns because they were asked to do something that was not okay. It's like being happy when they resign, knowing that ultimately they're going to be replaced by someone who just does whatever.
Who won't fight against those problems.
Like if I'm sitting here, working with you guys and wanting to hear from you guys, hey, what are the things that are obstacles for you? Like I've been reading the comments on that video extremely thoroughly, making sure that when we do our review on LTT, that we are addressing these concerns and helping to make people broadly aware of them, right? Like that's our job. I think that, giving that kind of feedback to someone who is to a group, right? Like we're a team over here, to a team that is trying to take your feedback that we can take, right? The feedback of, how do we cover this in a way that addresses the community's concerns, right? Giving feedback like you should just not cover it, I think it's really self-destructive, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is the same thing as some members of the audience trying to shout for every single conclusion of every single review from every single creator to be exactly identical. It's like, it's not even what you want. Kitty makes a good point. You say that it's unacceptable, then you accept it by buying more Nintendo products. You can't influence Nintendo other than with your wallet. And you know what? That's a really good point. That's a super good point. And I acknowledge that straight up, head on, in my first leak summary video of the Switch 2. I don't like a lot of this stuff. I really want to play Nintendo games. I'm human. And what I want is better long-term solutions because, again, I don't think Nintendo is unique in bending customers over, and I don't think that anything is going to get any better without legislation. But you're right. You're right to call that out. John Deere is completely trashing farmers, and we all still buy food.
I don't think that gaming is comparable to food, but I also don't think that your example is as ridiculous as it might seem on the surface because, well, sort of. Like, I do think that happiness is essential, and I do think that a lot of people derive happiness from gaming. I think the audience that I'm talking to can probably relate to that pretty decently, I like Nintendo products because of the demographic within my life that I get to play them with. And that is not necessarily true for like almost any other type of gaming that I do. We've had discussions on me and Nintendo going back like pretty much the history of WAN Show, where I've talked about like,
I speak pretty big about most things, but Nintendo is just like, unfortunately, this annoying company that I will just keep buying their stuff, which sucks because there's just, again, there's that demographic in my life of people that I can play Nintendo games with that don't really want to play anything else. And I'm not giving up on those people in my life because they're important to me. So
That's a Nice Hat asks, someone help me out here. What's the concern right now? The concern is that Nintendo's terms of service changed recently, giving them theoretically the right to brick your console remotely if you do something on it that they don't like alter it. We've got some more discussion questions. Are you mad that there's no OLED at launch?
It's just an upcharging idea for later. So I can eventually drop the price of this current one and release an OLED version at this price or higher. That's my theory.
So here's the thing. We know that the OLED would cost more, right? Because an OLED panel will cost more. People are already outraged at the price. What would you have had them do? Would you have had them release two consoles side by side, one at $450, one at $500 or $550, with maybe more storage and an OLED panel? Would that have made people more mad, less mad? Legitimately, I want to know what people would have had Nintendo do here. People are saying bad take, but I'm not giving you a take. I'm asking a question. What would you have had them do? It is a fact. It is a simple fact that an OLED panel costs more than an LCD panel at the same size, especially if it's a brand new form factor. And this is, I'm not aware of any other device that is using an OLED that is this size and aspect ratio. So they would have to do tooling for a new display. What would you have them do, given that people are already outraged about the price?
Rightfully so.
T. Lewis says, didn't Valve do that for the Steam Deck? Wasn't there base model IPS and a higher end model with more storage and was OLED? Yes, later. Steam Deck OLED didn't exist out of the gate. It came later. Not because Valve was just trying to bilk people and squeeze more money out of them with an OLED upgrade later, but because it took a little while for the technology to catch up and for them to be able to integrate the OLED panel. And they came at it with I think a pretty reasonable upcharge. And we weren't mad about that. So I just want to know what's different here. What do you think, Luke?
I think people are just going to be mad regardless. I think if they weren't bricking people's Switches that tried to mod them, I think people would be mad. I think if it was more affordable and they were bricking people's Switches that modded them, people would be mad. I think the only way that people wouldn't be mad with this launch is if it was significantly cheaper and they weren't doing the brick your console if you try to utilize hardware that you purchased in a way that you want, which is like obviously BS.
And the game cart thing is a big
I forgot about the game cart thing. That's also
the game cart
ridiculous.
thing is a big one. And the price of the games. I don't want to spoil too much, but I will tell you guys the premise of the video. One of the other videos we shot this week was me giving my son his birthday present. See, he had his birthday a while back, and he's not a super materialistic kind of guy. And so, but one thing that I know he likes is he likes his Nintendo Switch. And so I said, okay, son, happy birthday. I got you a Switch too. And he's like, oh, where is it? I'm like, well, it's not out yet. What do you think? I'm magic? I'll give it to you when it comes out. And so for a video concept / just an interesting exercise, because I was really curious to get just, an average gamer's perspective on it. I brought him into the studio, and the intro of the video goes, happy birthday, son. Here's your Switch 2, is what I would say if I wasn't worried that you're making the greatest mistake of your young life. You haven't even seen what else is out there yet. Why would you just settle for the first thing? Actually, I didn't do that. Like, why would you settle for the first thing you meet? Angle, that's really funny. I should have done that for the intro. Anyway, the point is, I kind of pull the Switch 2 away and I go, wait a second. You haven't tried anything else yet. And so we got a whole roster of other handheld gaming devices. Ally, Ally X, Legion Go, Ioneo 3, MSI Claw, I'm sure I'm missing something, but and then also we had the Switch 2 in there, and basically I made him a deal. I said, you can have your Switch 2 for your birthday, or you can try all these other ones, and if there's anyone that you like better, you can have that instead. And I'm not going to tell you guys what the conclusion is, but what I will say is that because I kind of trickled out the information about each thing. Oh yeah, PS Portal was one of them, because he was like stoked on the PS Portal. But then I was like, okay, there's a catch. See that PlayStation over there? Like, that's what it's running off of. And if you're too far away from your PlayStation, it doesn't work too good. He's like, oh, okay, because I was willing to offer a PlayStation 5 plus a Portal. Because realistically, it's not even that far off the pricing if I like pick them up secondhand or whatever, right? So anyway, the funny, I wouldn't say the funniest moment, because there's one toward the end that's like really good. But one of the funniest moments was when I kind of sprung on him, okay, but here's the thing about the Switch 2. While the pricing might actually be cheaper than some of these like PC handhelds, the games are really expensive. Like I'm talking over $100. To be clear, I'm talking Canadian dollars, which they are. They're over $100 for AAA games. And he goes, he responds, he goes, for each game?
Especially a kid who's probably used to like Steam pricing.
100%. Dude, he was completely taken aback by it.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
You mean for each game? Like he couldn't, it's one of those things that you can't act. He just was mind blown by it. Like what?
Yeah, Nintendo games really don't fall in price much.
No, they don't. It's wild, dude. It's wild. But no, he's 100% right. Like that's a major issue with this platform is like Nintendo is trying to eat their cake and have it too here, where they've been upfront that they're trying to make money on the consoles, which fair enough, you know? But they're also charging so much for the games that I feel like it'd be pretty nice if that game was subsidizing the price of the hardware a little bit, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of rough.
All right. I feel like I've said everything I have to say about the OLED version. Okay, our last discussion topic here for the Switch 2 is what are you most excited to play?
I am very curious about Mario Kart World. I have intentionally not looked into it very much. It's the only game I have currently. I didn't buy anything else for it.
Well, technically you have all your old games too.
Yeah.
The upgrade packs are 15 Canadian, which I don't love, but I don't hate. I think it's somewhat reasonable.
Yeah.
I do hate, by the way, this is wild. Your old carts are still locked at 30 FPS. So aside from not getting the HDR or any enhancements or whatever, they run at a solid 30 FPS. But it still is frame rate locked at 30 FPS. That's ridiculous. If I have more powerful hardware, it should just run at more FPS. Anyway, carry on.
Based computer guy take. I think Mario Kart World. I don't want to know too much about it. If you like played it and you enjoyed it, like that's cool. But I don't want to know way too much about it. It sounds really weird to me, and I'm interested to experience the weirdness. See how it goes.
Cool. So anyway, guys, we're gonna have lots of coverage of the Switch 2 coming up. We're gonna have the review on LTT. We're gonna have that shopping video with my son. It's gonna be great, and hopefully it has a very long life, and who knows, maybe comes down in price at some point along the way, gets an OLED variant, and
here's a question I have for you, actually.
Yeah.
Would you have bought a Switch 2 for yourself if you weren't planning on playing games with like Little Man or others? If it was purely just for you.
Well, hold on. By just for me, what if it wasn't for me and my kids? What if it was for me and like entertaining? Because there's no better machine for hooking up to the Rec Room TV when we host a party than a Switch.
Yeah.
And for that, I mean, what a, frame rate, image quality, enthusiast I am. I like to have a really great gaming experience. And so to me, the new Switch is Nintendo's asking for $450 from me for the first time in 8 years. Assuming I didn't buy an OLED, right? Which I did, but like they're not actually asking for a console worth of money from me that often. And so, yeah, it would just be part of my setup for when I have friends over, like play Mario Party or whatever.
Okay, and that is, in my opinion, the correct way to answer that question. But I want to move the goalpost and ask again, what if it was just for you? No entertaining, just for you.
That'd be tough. I thought I was going to play Tears of the Kingdom. I bought it, and then I got like 15 minutes into it, and I was like, okay, yeah, I didn't buy the Breath of the Wild expansion, and I don't need this Breath of the Wild expansion either. I know there's the building mechanics and all that, but it felt too similar to me. What I loved about Breath of the Wild was that it was so different. And, and maybe I'm making your same argument about, where I'm trying to say the Switch 2 is exciting and you're saying it's iterative, and I'm kind of making the same argument because people are going to be like, yeah, I played Tears of the Kingdom. It was so different. There was so much that was different about it. How can you possibly say it was iterative? It's emotional. It's gaming. It's not objective. It's not FPS and frame times. It's gaming. I haven't gotten into a Mario Kart since Mario Kart DS. I don't think that if it wasn't a launch title for a console that I ultimately decided to buy, anyway, I don't think I would have just gone out of my way to get into a Mario Kart again, because Mario Kart DS, it was a very different stage of my life. I was taking public transit a lot, and I just had like downtime, I don't even think, like DS Lite would have been what I had. So I don't even think I had a smartphone yet. Like that was kind of what I did when I had idle time. So I don't think I would pick that up again. I'm going to totally dodge your question again. I would buy it again, but I would buy it for the same reason that I bought this one, to try it. And then if I don't end up caring about it, put it in the lounge at Smash Champs. So what I've decided is I'm either going to keep this and put my Switch OLED in the lounge at Smash Champs, or I'm going to decide I just don't care that much and I'm not going to use it, and I'll borrow my son's if I really need it, and I will put this in Smash Champs and then either sell the Switch OLED or hold on to it or put it in the theater or something. If it was just to game, just handheld, I probably wouldn't bother, because I have so many games that look really appealing to me in my backlog that I haven't had a chance to finish, that I just don't see the need to buy hardware to finish them.
This is the answer I was looking for, because I think
because you want to talk about a game you finished?
No, because ultimately, I think we kind of bought it for similar reasons.
Right.
And it was not necessarily just us. It was the social ecosystem that this brand very unfortunately seems to be able to bring together sometimes. Like I know it wasn't, they advertised as if it was going to be, and then I don't think it was quite as much, but like Wii parties were a thing.
Oh yeah. Dude, 100%.
Switch parties, I don't know.
By the way, guys, I have spoiled nothing because I'm talking about the rationale for purchasing it.
What? Yeah. What did they think you were talking about?
Well, that I spoiled my son's choice.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Because I made the decision before he even came in to shoot the video.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, carry on.
I think that's just people misunderstanding. But yeah, it's a thing. It's a bringer together of people.
Yep. And nobody else does local gaming the way that Nintendo does. With that said, there's a lot more on Steam these days than there used to be. Like I'm finally playing Unravel 2. Yvonne and I are almost done, and it's great. It's fun. It's not super challenging. Like if you're an old school gamer or whatever, it's very much like It Takes Two for me. Beautiful environments, less fun gimmicks. Like It Takes Two had a lot of different gameplay mechanics that Unravel 2 doesn't really. But it's like beautiful environments, and you just hang out and you just play a game and you just enjoy each other's company and chill on the couch. You don't have to like think super hard a lot of the time. And that is getting better on the PC side, but I don't think anything is quite Mario Party.
Yeah. Even though Mario Party kind of sucks now, it still works somehow. Anyway,
I thought the latest one fixed the unskippable nonsense that I had with the one that I bought. I'm not actually sure.
I didn't even know there's been one since then. So
yeah, there has that one that you and I played together for a little bit, or like tried to play together, but it was like unusable because of how impossible it was to skip anything. And what killed me about it was how fixable it was.
Oh yeah.
Like, ew.